Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, a development in the Castle Home positive test for COVID-19. Yes, bears are on the prowl and getting ready for golf, we hope. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Cogeco News. I am Greg Estabrooks. First tonight, though, the COVID-19 dashboard, a regular part of the newscast for a while and probably a while longer. Let's go to today's numbers, although they may be tweaked a bit when I get to story number 2. A lot of tests done on Thursday, 327, almost 3,000 done in the area that is covered by the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. 2 positives, 2 in isolation right now, waiting on 224 pending tests. That number is getting lower as well. Moving on now to the Castle Home angle. An interesting development from Castle Home's COVID-19 positive revelation after a bunch of testing was done last weekend. Castle Home Executive Director Jamie Lowry tells Cogeco News that the person tested whose result came back positive was retested last Sunday and the test came back negative. Lowry says it could be what is called a false positive or a weak positive. He says, Lowry does, that he's waiting for direction from Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Jim Chirico. The patient remains in isolation at the long-term care facility, showing at this point no symptoms of COVID-19. Dr. Dean Favett is a retired emergency room physician from Windsor. Favett recently beat COVID-19, this after he says more than 30 years in the medical field and not getting sick once. He talked about the ordeal with Your TV's Robert Scuzelin.
My symptoms at first is I lost my taste buds. And I knew that was one of the signs. Not everybody gets it, but I lost my taste buds. And then my skin became very painful. Like every part of my skin, I couldn't even touch it. I take a shower with a towel, and it was like sandpaper. So I said, oh, that's a little bit weird. And he says, maybe this is another sign. Luckily, I wasn't working. I work a local clinic. So I had a few days off, like a week off. I said, well, maybe I'll just self-quarantine for this week. And then things just went downhill after that. Within 5 days, I started to get a little cough and short of breath. And I was being my usual stubborn self, and I'd say, okay, I'm okay. My wife, Juliana, wanted to take me to the hospital, and she had arranged with my Dr. John Minardi, who was at the hospital, to get me into the hospital. And I said, no, I'm okay. I said, give me a couple more hours. Well, within a half an hour, my breathing just went like I stepped off a cliff. I just couldn't breathe. Really short of breath. And I just was starting to get a little bit confused. So she took me in. And that was pretty traumatic for the whole family, especially for her. Because once they drop you off at the front doors, you don't see each other again. So you don't know what's happening.
As a physician, you know a lot more than the general layman. How worried were you about it, knowing the seriousness of COVID-19?
Well, at first I was maybe a little bit foolishly cavalier about it. I mean, I worked 35 years in emergency room. I never got sick. Never had a cold. If I had a cold, it lasted 2-3 days and then it was gone. So maybe I was a little cavalier about it at first. And I thought, well, okay, let me just quarantine here. Basically, if you're going to call your family doctor, he'd say the same thing to you. Stay home a couple weeks till things pass. So at first, it didn't really bother me. I said, okay, well, I'm not doing anything for the next week, and I'll just tell him I'll take the next week off from the clinic. Then when things where the breathing got short, then I was a little bit more concerned. But I was still stubborn enough to stay home until my wife almost had to drag me out of the house.
Tell us about the process of entering the hospital and then the decisions by the doctors to bring you to ICU.
Well, my wife dropped me off in front, and she wasn't allowed to go in. Luckily, Dr. Minardi was working that day, and she had communicated that we were coming in. And I walked in the door, and he looked at me, and he says, "What happened to you?" He says, "You look like hell." And I said, "I just can't breathe." He says, "You think?" He says, "You're great." He says, "You look horrible." I told him he had to work on his bedside manner a little bit. So then they put me into a private room that they had been using for COVID patients. And they got blood work and tests like that. And I hadn't been eating that well over the prior few days because I just didn't feel like it. You get short of breath. You're just not in the mood to eat. So
We'll hear the rest of that story in an upcoming edition of Cogeco News. Chamber representatives from across Northern Ontario had a chance to be on a Zoom call with 3 Northern Ontario cabinet ministers. Nipissing MPP and Economic Development and Trade Minister Vic Fedeli was on that call, and he took a question about the reopening of the province.
Everything we're doing in a staged framework. We announced this last week, about a week ago Monday, that it's a set of guidelines. It's not a calendar, but we announced the 3 stages that we want to follow. There's a little bit more outdoor that comes in stage 1, a lot more outdoor in stage 2, and of course, fully opened in stage 3. A few days later, Minister McNaughton announced the sector by sector guidelines. I encourage everybody on this call to go to ontario.ca coronavirus /coronavirus. That's the site that has all of these guidelines. So you'll find these are a signal that your sector is going to be opening soon. I would say that's the best way I can tell you that. So we did a pre-stage announcement last week by saying golf courses and marinas can open for prep work only. No public will be allowed. And that means, where the ice has crushed the docks, I'm thinking of down the street from my place in Callander. The ice has crushed the docks over at Sunbeam Lodge. This allows them to get out and get the docks repaired. All the boats that are under wraps, get them unwrapped, get them prepared. All that can happen now, so that when the announcement comes, and the fact that we're allowing this pre-stage to happen, pretty good signal that it's going to happen soon. So between that and going on the website and seeing, hey, my sector is now on the website, that's a pretty good signal that we're getting there.
May is Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. The coronavirus pandemic is limiting the way advocates can raise money and awareness. It's also placing an increased health risk on those living with cystic fibrosis. Today we hear from local advocate Macrina Perron, who is a mother of 2 children diagnosed with CF. Macrina joins our Clark Heipel via Skype.
COVID-19 has impacted our efforts. I mean, it's only May 2nd, but we've already missed out on one event where we typically raise, anywhere between 8,000 and 14,000. So the Zoomathon every year is an event that we host, that we gather, and obviously not cystic fibrosis patients gathering, but we do have one ambassador. So I do think this is going to be a very different year for us in terms of fundraising. So we're using this as an opportunity to raise awareness and work on the advocacy piece as well.
Now, COVID-19 is a virus that attacks the lungs, and that is what obviously cystic fibrosis attacks as well. So the danger is heightened. And how are you able to kind of mitigate these very serious concerns?
Well, for us, our population is used to social distancing and self-isolating when they're not well. So, everything is just a little bit more heightened for us too. My kids haven't left our property since before the March break. And we just take extra precautions when we go to town for supplies. We take extra steps to make sure that the things that come into the home are sanitized, and that we protect ourselves when we are in the community. But just in terms of regular everyday CF life, it's kind of business as usual for us right now.
Now, since this is the Awareness Month and it's coast to coast to coast, you've been to Ottawa, you've talked with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. What do you want people to know concerning cystic fibrosis and possible cures coming forward, possible legislation to assist with cures. What do you want people to know?
I think our community just really wants people to know that there are medications out there that are designed to sort of act at a cellular level to change the way cystic fibrosis behaves in the body. And the problem is that we don't have access to those medications. So what we want people to know is that there are legislations in place and there's issues with the multi-levels of government that are just making it a challenge for us to have access to the drugs that are within reach. Like they're there. There's a drug out there that impacts 90% of our population. And we're seeing all over the world the impact that this drug is having on people. And we want that for our kids as well. And the changes that are happening haven't quite happened yet. And there are ways that you can prevent those changes from, or hopefully prevent those changes from taking place. There's a petition to be signed, there's letters to be written. There is work that can be done within the community that can help us out.
Later on this month, we'll have a follow-up story because it's a very important issue and needs to be put out there as much as possible. In other news, and there is other news that's not related to COVID-19, it's been, well, it sort of is. It's been an unbearable spring for all of us, and now that description fits what has become a long-time spring tradition. The North Bay Police Service is encouraging the public to be bear-wise in response to complaints about reported bear sightings in the city. It's not COVID-related, but there is kind of a link.
Well, it is totally different, but it's something certainly we're going to use the same messaging, social distancing. Obviously, we don't want to get anybody hurt. We've had 4 reports so far for the month of May of bear sightings. It's all been in the Wallace Heights area. So there is one that's roaming around there. We're in Northern Ontario. We don't want anyone to get hurt. We also want to make sure that people understand what they should be doing if they see a bear. So if it's an emergency, if it's in an area where there's kids playing, or if it's trying to get into your house, that's something where you need to call 911. However, if you just happen to see a bear in the area, that's something that you can phone our 472-1234 number or call the Bearwise number through the Ministry of Natural Resources and notify them that there's a bear in that specific area. You don't charge at them, obviously. They recommend you don't turn and run either. So you stand and make yourself look as big as you can. And most of these bears, they're on the fringe areas of the city and they're looking for a meal. So the other thing you can do too is just make sure there's not a source of food around your home. So make sure your barbecue's clean. Watch where you store your garbage. If you have remnants left over from an apple tree in your yard, it's time to clean that up and get rid of it so that we're not attracting the bears because they're looking for a free meal.
We're going to take a little break here on Cogeco News. When we come back, we are still talking Pet of the Week, coming at you right after this. It's Thursday, and that cues us up for another edition of our tradition. That rhymed. Pet of the Week. Today we are seeing double, not one, but two energetic white bunny rabbits looking for their forever home.
Keeping my distance on account of them being white and me being almost totally black right now, but we'd really like to feature these two ladies. We've got two rabbits in at the Humane Society right now, and really encouraging people to keep their eyes and ears open to what we've got coming up. We're hoping our adoptions are going to be up and running, and these guys are desperate to get the heck out of here.
Now, they appear to both have a ton of energy, which is definitely common with rabbits.
Definitely. So really encouraging people when they get into adoption, same with dogs and cats, that interaction, socialization, and exercise are absolutely key. So we've got them in kennels right now, but this is definitely just temporary as far as housing them and keeping them safe. But we've got our isolation room right now, and they get out, really stretch their legs, and get hopping around like the typical rabbits do.
What would be an ideal home for the pair of rabbits if you're adopting them out together once your adoption process opens back up?
Definitely. So for these guys, we're certainly able to separate them. So if anybody is not too interested in two rabbits, we can do one at a time, which is totally fine. But really encouraging people, lots of socialization, handling. As you can see, they're really eager to sort of be around and interact with people. So if you've got a busy home, that could work, as long as you know that they're safe, potentially not going to get stepped on or lost in a small spot that they might get stuck in.
Now, for rabbits' teeth, it's important they have things to chew on because those teeth can grow uncomfortably long if they can't whittle them down.
Definitely. So, constant vet care and things like that are really important for rodents as well as dogs and cats. So keeping things in their kennel that they can chew on. So we've got little pieces of wood and things like that that they can just grind their teeth. And then ongoing nail trimming, same as dogs and cats.
Are rabbits fixed, typically?
Definitely. So through the North Bay Humane Society here, we're really eager and quick to promote the spay-neuter clinic, and rabbits are included in that. So with all the adoption animals that come from the North Bay Humane Society, rabbits included, they are fixed before adoption.
Now, rabbits can spend time outdoors, but you need to have an enclosed space because if they get loose, goodbye.
Definitely. So again, the rabbits that are coming in as strays, we don't know if they were abandoned by their owner, let loose, or just escaped and weren't able to find their home again. So with these ones here, we're pretty confident that they are domesticated, obviously came from a home, were well cared for, they're in good condition and fairly friendly. So they can spend time outside, but encouraging people to keep them in a penned area, keep possibly a harness or a leash on them, give them time outside. It's really good interaction for them, but keeping them safe as well.
If somebody's interested in one or two of these rabbits, what should they do, keeping in mind that adoptions are closed for the time being?
So for the North Bay Humane Society, we're really hoping to open up in the near future, but we don't have a definitive date yet. So keep an eye on our Facebook page as well as our website, or give us a call. Our phone lines are still open so we can talk people through it. We also have the option of putting their name down to give them a call once the animals come available for adoption. So everything's really still up in the air, but really encouraging people to keep in touch with us and let us know if they're interested.
Thank you, Janet Breeden. Thorough as always. And Clark Heibel. Clark is off today. I'll have the weather for you right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back, everybody. It is weather time, and nothing says May like snow. Yes, there is a chance of a flurry or two over the next couple of days. Not a great chance, but still a chance. But the temperatures will be cold one way or another. Let's go to the forecast brought to you by Environment Canada. Yes, golf carts, wishful thinking. More on that a little bit later on. Overnight tonight, it's going to be -5 degrees and flurries. Yes, we could have up to 10 centimeters of snow. Wind chill -12 overnight. Friday, clouds, small chance of a flurry, well, less than 50%. Winds, though, gusting from the north at 40, so it's going to be cold. High of just 1 above. Wind chill -11 in the morning. Yes, UV index 5 or moderate. Friday night, cloudy, small chance of a flurry again. Winds diminishing, wind chill -10, low -6. Saturday, 3 and -3 with a mix of sun and cloud. Sunday, mainly cloudy, 4 and -8. Monday, sunny, a high of 4 above, low of -5. Ridiculous for this time of the year. Thank you very much. Yesterday, the high was 13. Seems like eons ago. The low was -5. Normals are 16 and 4. For an optimistic sort here at Cogeco News, we'll be talking golf right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Many golfers are itching to hit the links, but safety and warm temperatures, very important. Course directors are awaiting direction from the province when planning an official opening date. Earlier this week, Clark stopped by Osprey Links. Today, we check in with course management up at the North Bay Golf and Country Club.
Safety is going to be paramount. All golf courses, golf being deemed non-essential, we are going to have to make sure that everything is as safe as possible for all members coming onto the property, as well as all staff that are entering the property.
New Brunswick and Saskatchewan, the first provinces to be able to have their citizens play golf, and new measures were taken, including no-touch cups and other measures, no ball cleaners. There's a lot of things that have been changed. What are you looking at to kind of keep safety in mind while allowing the game to go on?
Well, a lot of the great protocols that these other provinces are putting into place, we're going to copy a lot of these protocols. We have purchased a special set of pin caddies where you can flick a little lever, the ball pops out of the hole, there's no touch points, and you can move on to the next hole very safely, while having the benefit of still holing out. Obviously, I think the big thing is touch points, reducing touch points around the golf course, making sure we maintain our social distancing. Let's make it 16 feet on the golf course instead of 6, and let's stay safe and respect each other's privacy for sure.
Now, we talked to Jeff Rogerson down at Osprey. In terms of geography, you kind of have a better spot in terms of more sun shining on the course. So how is your course holding up through some cool temperatures and a soggy spring?
Well, you know what's funny is that we got going early. Everyone had that great premonition that, you know what, April weather is turning in our favor. It started looking good. Then we had that cold snap, and we're kind of forecasting another cold snap here in mid-May. So we're in no big rush to get open. We want to make sure the weather's right, our course conditions meet the expectations of our members, and get set to open at that particular point in time.
Mancini's golf course members cannot wait to hit the links.
The debate that's been going around is, can we perform golf safely? And the members, if they can buy into this and we can get these people onto the golf course, they're starting to get excited to do something different, right? To get out on the course, help practice proper mental health and get some exercise in as well. And we're really excited to hopefully provide the best and safest environment once, obviously, government officials give us the go-ahead.
Finally, tonight here at Cogeco, we want to recognize people who have gone above and beyond to help others during the pandemic through a contest that can be entered on our Facebook page. Visit Your TV North Bay on Facebook and let us know if you know someone who has gone above and beyond the call to help others during the pandemic. Tell us their story in the comments below and win a chance for him or her to have dinner on us at a local restaurant. Don't forget to share this post to celebrate the heroes in our community. 5 winners will be drawn each Monday through June 1st. Prize value $100. That's it for news, weather, sports, and everything else here on Thursday on Cogeco News. We'll see you again for more Cogeco News live at 5 on Friday.